Galaxy A11. Sir, you're sitting in some kind of vehicle. Would you unmute your screen and tell me who you are? If the host could please send him a chat to unmute his screen. You need to unmute your video panel so that we can hear you.
Oh.
All right. What's your name, sir?
Security Officer Frederick Spurrell.
This meeting is being recorded.
Okay. Oh, that's better. Thank you. All right. Are you a witness or a defendant?
I got a letter from the
He's
court.
on the calendar. Frederick Spurrell, position number 10.
Position number 10. Okay. So Mr. Frederick Bernard Spruill, you've got a open criminal case against you for criminal trespass. 20 COB 000-300 from August 7th, 2020. Mr. Spruill, as well as any other defendants who are present at the Zoom, I'd like to first remind you that you have a right to remain silent about the facts of your case. Anything you say about the facts of your case, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney. If you are appearing without counsel, you have a right to speak to the public defender's office to see if you qualify for their services. And if you do, they will be glad to represent you. If you do not, then you would have to either proceed with a private attorney or in a self-represented capacity. So, Mr. Spruill, are you presently represented by counsel?
No, I'm not. I don't even know anything about this because I'm not even sure where this criminal trespass came from.
All right, let's see. And if you can put your email address in the chat feature, or you can tell me what your email is.
My email is ministerspurrell@gmail.com.
Minister, as in M-I-N-I-S-T-E-R.
Yes.
Spruill, S-P-R-U-E-L-L.
Yes.
All right. So I'm looking at the citation that was issued against a Frederick Bernard Spruill from 221 Upper Riverdale Road. The allegation is that damage to the front tire of the victim's vehicle. Mr. Spruill admitted flattening the passenger front tire. This occurred at 126 Renaissance Parkway, and the victim is a gentleman by the name of Mr. Chung Chen. Does that ring a bell? And we have a police.
All right. Yeah. Okay. I know who the victim is, but I didn't do it to his vehicle. What it was, I was security officer for.
All right. Mr. Spruill, you already heard me say that you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say about the facts of the case, your statements can and will be used against you. My question to you, sir, is that now that you are present, would you like to speak to the public defender's office to see if you can qualify, or do you want to represent yourself?
I can represent myself at this point because I already know what the deal is on it.
Okay, good. Who's the prosecutor in this case?
Your Honor, that would be Miss Riley.
All right. All right, Ms. Riley, I'm going to place you in a breakout room very soon with Mr. Spruill. All right, Mr. Spruill, if you want to represent yourself, you do have that right to waive your right to counsel, but please understand that you would be required to understand how the law impacts the particular facts of your case. And you would also have to understand the legal impact of anything you say or how any decision you make, how it may impact your particular situation in terms of your job, your residency, or any other open cases you may have against you. Do you understand, sir?
Yes.
All right. You're going to remain on the Zoom and eventually you'll be placed in a separate private virtual room to speak to Prosecutor Denise Riley about your case.
Okay.
All right, please hold. Please mute your screen. Okay. Is there, Mr. Travis is present and, all
Good
right,
morning, Judge, and thank you for your flexibility with that.
no problem. Okay. I am calling case 20 CR 003-431A, State versus Roland Daniel Pruitt. Mr. Pruitt is present via Zoom, and he is represented by counsel, Mr. Andrew Travis. And I understand that representing the state is going to be Ms. Michelle McCutcheon, and this case to hold a plea hearing. Mr. Travis, is your client engaging in a negotiated plea?
That's right, Your Honor. This is a negotiated plea. My client is entering a guilty plea to reckless driving. The state, I believe, has presented an amended accusation to that effect. And the state is submitting a null pros order on the improper backing charge.
All right, thank you.
And Your
Mr.
Honor,
Pruitt, yes.
respectfully, Your Honor, Michelle McCutcheon for the state. I do have the amended accusation prepared. I will not file it until after the plea has been tendered and the court accepts it. I did provide a copy of that amended accusation that I will be filing to counsel and to Ms. Bolton. All I have to do is press the electronic send button, and I will do that, Judge, as soon as the court accepts the tendered plea. And I will also provide the null pros order to the court regarding the improper backing, counsel.
That's as we discussed, Judge. Yes.
Yes.
All right, that's not a problem. All right, let's move forward. Mr. Pruitt, you have a right to remain silent about the facts of your case. Anything you say about the facts, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney, and representing you is Mr. Travis. We're going to engage in a plea hearing in order to hear what the state is recommending if you decide to plead guilty to reckless driving and only reckless driving. And for purposes of this plea hearing, may I place you under oath?
Yes, ma'am.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Ms. McCutcheon, what's the recommendation?
The recommendation, Your Honor, is that the defendant be sentenced on a plea of guilty to reckless driving to 12 months to serve 24 hours credit for the time already served. Balance of that sentence on probation, that while on probation, he will perform 40 hours of community service. He will pay a fine in the amount of $500 plus the associated court costs. He will complete the risk reduction driving program. He will also undergo an alcohol and drug evaluation and whatever treatment is determined to be appropriate. That he will participate in one victim impact panel. And as I said previously, the state will present an order to null pros the improper backing charge.
Mhm.
And Your Honor, just briefly, had the case, this case proceeded to trial, the state would have expected the evidence to have shown that on or about the incident date of November 17th of 2018, at about 23:08 hours, 11:08 p.m. at 1023 Hampton Street, Atlanta, Fulton County, Georgia, Atlanta police officer responded to a possible impaired driver, spoke to a witness who identified this defendant, Roland Pruitt, as an individual who he had seen walking unsteadily on his feet towards a vehicle, into the vehicle, and then back into that witness's vehicle. That witness then followed the defendant, held the defendant at gunpoint until law enforcement officers arrived. That witness was a Mr. Rakeem Smith. There was no visible damage to either of the vehicles involved, but this defendant was then arrested for the offense of driving under the influence, less safe, which the state, of course, is amending to reckless driving as negotiated on this guilty plea.
All right, thank you. Mr. Travis?
Your Honor, with respect to the terms of probation, on behalf of Mr. Pruitt, we request that while he's completing the special conditions, he be allowed to report to probation by phone or by email or by text, and that once he has completed the special conditions, that is the DUI school and victim impact panel, paid the fines, done the community service, had the alcohol and drug evaluation, that once those special conditions are complete, his probation be allowed to go on non-reporting status for the balance of the 12 months.
What was the reason for a virtual report or
Well, for his employment, he is not always in town, and to ensure that he successfully completes everything and stays in the good graces of the probation folks. That's why we make that request, Your Honor.
I don't understand. So he's gone for months on ahead, or what's the deal?
Well, the travel schedule sometimes, if the probation officer is willing to work with him, I just want to make the possibility there if it's something that works for him and if he makes significant progress, Your Honor, if a straight virtual report isn't possible, then I would, request that after 2 successful in-person check-ins, then at the discretion of the probation officer, if virtual is appropriate, that they may make that decision at that time.
Okay. The explanation is rather vague, and I'm not really certain what is the issue. Is reporting once a month, and I'm sure probation will work with Mr. Pruitt. He's going to report every month until he completes all his condition, and then it will go on a non-reporting status. So until it gets to a non-reporting status, it will be an in-person reporting. If probation decides that they will allow for a virtual report, then I will leave that to the discretion of the probation officer.
Certainly, Judge, and in the interest of explaining my request, I know I never get things I don't ask for. So
Okay.
to the extent I can help my client have the best chance at success, I like to do that, but I certainly understand Your Honor's position, and I will make sure that Mr. Pruitt has everything in line he needs to be successful on probation.
Sounds good. All right. So are we ready to go then?
We are ready to proceed, Your Honor.
All right. And does the defense stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID for the charge of reckless driving?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Pruitt, first of all, if you could unmute, sir. All right, sir. Have you consumed any kind of prescription drugs, alcoholic beverages, or anything that may impair your ability to understand the proceedings?
No, ma'am.
And have you understood the explanations provided by your counsel as well as the proceedings so far?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you satisfied with the representation you have received?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Is anyone forcing you or inducing you to take a plea today?
No, ma'am.
All right. And also has been explained to you that by entering a guilty plea to this misdemeanor offense, it could have a negative impact upon your residency status, professional licenses, or any other open cases if any of these factors are relevant to you.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And you are still willing to enter a plea willingly, knowingly, and voluntarily. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
In order for me to accept your plea, you must also knowingly and willingly waive your constitutional rights to go back to court, to have a trial before a judge or a jury with respect to the charges brought against you, to have the assistance of counsel to challenge the state's evidence, present your own defenses, have the ability to confront your accuser, examine witnesses, and have the state try to prove the charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you prepared to waive these rights?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you plead to the one count of reckless driving?
Guilty.
I accept your guilty plea to this charge. Your sentence is 12 months, serve 1 day, credit for time served 1 day. The balance will be placed on probation. While you're on probation, you will report to probation office. The officer, they will send you a scheduled date and time to report. And Mr. Travis, we will need your client's current address, phone number, and email. If you could provide that, please. I don't know if I have probation present on the Zoom, so it would be best if you send it to Ms. James Petrona. Is that good? Petrona James. Do you see her name on the Zoom chat feature? I'm sorry, you're on mute, Mr. Travis?
I had a good streak going, Judge. I really did. I've got the correct email address. So when we conclude today, I'll verify with my client and send an email right away.
It's got to be the current address, phone number, and email.
Certainly.
All right. The rest of the sentence is while he's on probation, he will complete 40 hours of voluntary community service. You can do it at any nonprofit 501c organization that's acceptable to your probation officer, except at a school or a religious organization. you understand, Mr. Pruitt? Animal rescue, Salvation Army, food bank, those kind of facilities are acceptable. You are to pay a $500 fine plus any court costs or fees that may be incurred. Complete one risk reduction program, attend one victim impact panel, and complete one alcohol and drug evaluation. And if the evaluator recommends that you need to submit yourself to any kind of treatment or counseling, you will be required to do so. If all these conditions have been satisfied, then your probation will be non-reporting. But until then, you'll be required to report in person, or unless your probation allows for a virtual or telephonic reporting. The accusation for DUI under the influence of alcohol less safe has been amended to reckless driving, which I will accept now, considering that the plea has been entered and sentenced, and the improper backing charge will be nullified. Anything else, Mr. Travis? Yes, Ms. McCutcheon?
Yes, Your Honor, I just electronically filed the amended accusation. It is pending processing by the clerk's office, and I just emailed a copy of the null pros as to the improper backing to Ms. James and Ms. Bolton. And as I said, I previously provided a copy to counsel, an unsigned, of course, proposed copy.
All right, and I have signed the plea documents that have been submitted also. Anything else, Mr. Travis?
Nothing further, Your Honor. I want to thank you and everyone else involved for accommodating this scheduling request. And I'm glad we're able to get this concluded today.
All right, thank you. Best of luck, Mr. Pruitt. We'll see you later. Thank you.
Judge.
All right. Okay, Mr. Sproul is present. Do I have anyone else who is attending court because they were summoned? I have Jared Pillette.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Pillette, are you a defendant? And may I have the last four numbers of your case?
The last four numbers of my case.
Number 26, thank you.
Okay.
All right, this is Mr. Jared D. Pillette, Pullette.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Pillette, you have a case 20 COV 0000330, in which you've been charged with simple battery and obstruction from May 7, 2020. And you have a right to remain silent about the facts of your case. Anything you say, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney. And are you represented by counsel?
Not currently. I need to, I'm trying to contact the public defender's office through the link that via Zoom. Hello?
Yes, they are present on Zoom. Mr. Haddad, how would you like Mr. Pillette to confer with the public defender's office?
Your Honor, we can resend the chat. I think he may have joined afterwards, but Mr. Pillette, if you can check the chat line in a second, we're going to enter the information as to how to apply. And you can do that online while we're still here. So.
Okay.
All right, if you look at the chat feature, this applies to all defendants who are seeking the services of the public defender's office. If you look at the chat feature on your Zoom screen, sometimes it appears as 3 dots, and if you click on those 3 dots, you will see a drop-down menu, and chat is one of the options.
I can see them now. I can see them.
All right. So I have someone called Street Made ENT. If you want the services of the public defender's office, please look at your chat feature. You would need to send an email to request the application to fill out. Once you've completed the application, the public defender's office will review it and let you know whether they can represent you or not. Yeah, I will. Okay. Mr. Street Made ENT, gentleman in a black jacket. What's your name, please? I don't think he has his audio on. Mr. Street Made ENT, you need to connect your Zoom You need to connect your Zoom and make sure it's connected to some kind of audio, either the Wi-Fi audio or your computer audio. All right, other than Mr. Pulet, I think we need to correct his name to P-U-L-L.
Hello.
It's Pillettte.
Okay, that's fine. All right. All right, Mr. Streetmaid, I'm sorry, I'm addressing you by that name because that's the only name that's appearing on your screen. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear y'all now.
Okay, and we can hear you too. What's your name, sir?
Javion Mitchell.
Repeat that.
Javion Mitchell.
Mitchell.
Yeah, Javion.
Got it, position 14. All right, Mr. Mitchell, your case is 20 COB 000304. And you've been cited for possession of a handgun under the age of 18 and carrying a concealed weapon from an August 13, 2020 incident. You have a right to remain silent about the facts of your case. You have a right to, so anything you say, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney. And if you want the services of the Public Defender's Office, you will need to send an email as instructed on the chat to get an application. Otherwise, you can choose to have a private attorney or represent yourself. How would you like to proceed?
With a public defender.
All right, do you see the chat information?
Now you said no. So I see the letter. I see everything that y'all saying popping up.
It's on the Zoom screen, and there are a couple of options where it says mute or start video.
Yeah.
And there may
I
be
see it.
3 dots that say, click on the 3 dots, and it will have the option for chat.
Press chat.
Yes,
I clicked it.
all right. And you see information there on the chat. It says, if you need assistance of a public defender.
Uh-huh.
All right, if you want to, you need to email that particular email address, statecourtpd@fultoncountyga.gov right now. You cannot leave the Zoom until I release you. So if you want to, there's a phone number also.
So I have to text the public defender and tell them.
You have to call the public defender or send them an email. Do you see the email address in there?
Yeah, I'm finna call them off my other phone.
Do whatever you need to, but you cannot leave this proceedings until we verify that you are ready to proceed with or without counsel. All right, Ms. Smith, we can mute Mr. Mitchell for now. Okay, are there any other defendants who are responding to the calendar today, other than Mr. Poulet and Mr. Mitchell? And Mr. Sproul, okay. Mr. Sproul, I'm going to place you in a breakout room with Ms. Denise Riley. Ms. Smith, if you could place Ms. Denise Riley and Mr. Frederick Sproul in a breakout room. Mr. Sproul, you'll see a message on the screen saying join breakout room. You need to click that. Okay. All right, Mr. Haddad, thank you. I see the PD's office appearing in force, but
Yes, Judge.
all right, so while we have Mr. Mitchell and Mr. Sproul and Mr. Poulet letting us know what's going to happen with their respective cases, let's go down the rest of the calendar.
Hello?
Yes, Mr. Poulet, have
Your
you
Honor?
sent your application in?
I just emailed the public. I just emailed the public defender from the email address that was sent to me via chat, and I tried to call them really quick, but it said Raven Davis is not available, so
Yeah.
I'm still waiting.
All right, So just hold, trust me, I'll call you as soon as you're ready. But you are right now going to be communicating with the PD's office via email.
Okay.
All
Okay.
right, do not leave. All right. Thank
Okay.
you.
Yes, ma'am.
Please mute your screen. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, position number 1, I have Christopher Lofton. Christopher Lofton. All right, this particular case, I had a return to sender. This was a criminal trespass from September 2020. Who's the prosecutor and what would you like to do?
Your Honor, these the positions 1 through 10 are Miss Riley's, and she's in a breakout room right now.
Oh, I see. Okay, let me jump then to position 11. Okay. Keisha Bell, position 11 is, I believe the state's going to null pros that order. So I'll go ahead and enter the null pros for that.
Thank you, Your Honor. Yes, that was sent yesterday. Erica Marshall Story for the state.
Thank you. Position 12, I have Reginald Hunter. Reginald Hunter. Reginald Hunter. All right, Miss Keisha Story, what would you like to do? I have no good addresses, or both notices were sent back, and we have not had sight or seen of Mr. Hunter. I do not have a good address on him.
Your Honor, this case does involve the very serious charge of public indecency. And although the court may not have an address at this time, the state is still requesting that a bench warrant be issued.
Have you all tried reaching him by phone? There's a phone number listed.
Are you referring to the clerk's office or the state?
No, to the prosecutor.
No, Your Honor. Generally, that is not something the state would do.
All right.
We'd ask.
We have a cell number. Somebody can call that number, please. Y'all see it?
Again, you're referring to the state, Your Honor, or the clerk? Okay.
We're going to hold on that until we can see whether we can reach him at all. Position 12, no address, no contact.
Your Honor, respectfully, is there an address listed on the citation? Is that the address to which the notice was sent?
The address was sent to,
It can be sent anywhere because it's there. 000 urban camper.
that's not a good address.
I'm sorry, Judge, I did not hear the clerk. What was the address listed?
It's not a known address for it to be sent anywhere.
The address listed, the 275 Washington Street, that was on the citation. But the address we have, let me see where the return to sender was. We've got 0000 urban camper. I don't know why it was sent to, what's the second one? Yeah, they're all urban camper. Any left? So phone numbers not listed. So we've got an individual who was cited with a Washington Street address, but we've got an urban camper address. Anybody can give me an explanation? Because I honestly.
Yeah, Miss Erica, I'll refer to Miss Marshall's story. I've not looked at the citation, but if the defendant had provided a mailing address, then of course the state would say that's the address to which the clerk properly would have sent notice, and that's the address that the defendant has indicated would be his or her address to receive notice. Miss Marshall's story, did you look at the citation? Can you give some explanation to the court? I'm not familiar with the citation.
Your Honor, and Deputy McCutcheon, I'm actually pulling up the citation now.
We've got an incident report also with the Washington.
Yes, there is
Street.
an incident report, and we'll check to see if there's an address listed there also.
That's a shelter, apparently. Is that a shelter still in existence?
Your Honor, our Odyssey is loading. The address. The incident location was 163 Ponce de Leon, but the address that I see is also 163 Ponce de Leon. I'm not sure what the Abbey is, but I do see the 275 Washington Street Southwest address.
I'm just missing this case.
Your Honor, just so that the record is clear, I would like to state to the court the brief facts, and that was that the defendant was.
I just read the incident report, so yes,
Okay.
I've read it and I've looked at it, and doesn't have a verifiable address. The incident was at 163 Ponce de Leon. The Washington Street is a shelter. I don't even know whether they're still there. The incident occurred during the height of the pandemic, and there's no way to ascertain where he is. And we've already sent him 2 notices, and there's no verifiable way of finding him other than issuing a bench warrant that's going to float out there for an indefinite period of time, and that we may, on some fortuitous occasion, find him based on some alleged violation. So
Your Honor,
under
I'd
all
also
these
like to.
circumstances, yeah.
I'd also like to point out that the defendant does have 67 cycles.
And
and
therefore,
that this-
he will appear one more time.
well,
Judge,
and that
would
ben-
the court entertain placing the case on a dead docket, Judge? The state is concerned because of the nature of the charge and the aggravated history of the defendant. Even though the defendant did not provide to law enforcement a verifiable address, we would ask the court to dead docket the case.
I'll put it
if
on
the
the
court
dead
entertain-
docket. You have 1 year to decide if you can find him, otherwise they all get purged, okay?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
All right, position number 12 is on a dead docket. Some of the these are coming in, okay. Jamal Elder is null prost. Javion Mitchell is hopefully reaching out to the public defender's office. Zachary Hoffman, this is position 15, and this was also a prior failure to appear. We've got the amended accusation. This is his first appearance. Or did he have an appearance on second 222 as well? We've got a Loganville address, and that's still not a good address. I mean, sent, but he's not reported. Yes,
Your
Ms.
Honor,
Marshall Story?
Yes, I'm pulling this case up also in Odyssey, Your Honor. It appears that the case was reset from February 25th of 2002, and there was a failure to appear, Your Honor.
All right.
But
Yeah, and I don't have the.
I do not see that there has been a return of any mailings, and I believe that this case should actually be given a bench warrant in this matter. There's no return to sender that I'm able to pull up. So it would appear that the address that he was given to the police officer was the inaccurate address.
Granted, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Javion Mitchell, did you have a question?
Hello.
Do you have a question?
Yes, my mom. We tried to reach out to public defender office, is there anyone present today that can represent me? Or can I represent myself for like this court period?
Have you sent in your application?
What, to the public defender?
Yes. Have you
My-
emailed the public defender's office at the email listed on the chat to get the
Yes.
application?
Yes, my mother was doing that now. My phone actually stopped. So she said just see if y'all have anybody that can represent me today.
We have lots of PDs who can represent you, but we need your completed application. So they will send you an application, you fill that out and send it back to them.
All right, I'm gonna do that.
All right, remove the arm raise thing and then and mute your screen. Okay, LaFrance Hewley is position 16, and that's null prost. Position 17, I have James Riley Jr. James Riley Jr. All right, Ms. Marshall Story, is that your case? What are we
Yes.
doing there?
Yes, Your Honor, that is my case. And I do understand that this has a return to sender. My concern, however, with this case is that it does involve another person. It's a disorderly conduct with Wesley Love. And it was apparently a dual matter, but Mr. Love was deemed as not being the initial aggressor and his case was dismissed. And for those reasons, Your Honor, because there is a victim involved, we would respectfully ask the court to issue a bench warrant on this matter.
Just one second. Who filed a document on October 22nd? Was that Mr. Riley? Someone filed a credit report.
I'm sorry, Your Honor, a credit report?
Yeah. In October of 2021. That's the one that I pulled up and I was like, this is an odd thing. It's not even redacted.
I see the document on 10/22, March 3rd and March 15th, both returned to sender, and then obviously the amended accusation.
All right, and I'm going to put this on the dead docket. You have apparently someone filed a credit report. I can only assume it's Mr. Riley. And it's got some information in there. If y'all want to look at it, to examine it and see if you can reach out to him. Serve him with, it looks like he's got a California address now. And if the case isn't resolved in a year, it gets purged. Okay, position 18, Bernard Dixon. Bernard Dixon, is that the cross defendant or no, it's not?
No, Your Honor, this involves another victim, Angela Gotel, and the state is requesting a bench warrant in this matter.
Swanee Avenue. All right, looks like the last notice went through. I'll issue a bench warrant on that.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Is there no demographics for us to be able to file against him
On Mr. Dixon?
correct?
He's got an address. Oh.
You need hate, height, weight.
Yeah,
or, I mean,
we don't have any other information on him, social security or anything like that. That would be difficult. Okay.
Your Honor,
Mr. Olson.
I'd just like to
Yeah.
say respectfully, Your Honor, it's incumbent upon the defendant. The defendant provides the address to law enforcement.
Ms.
It is not-
McCutcheon,
It's
it's not
incumbent upon the
incumbent, it's
defendant.
not incumbent upon the defendant to divulge any information. We
Well, the
have
address,
information.
Judge,
We have an address. This address is not good. We've already sent it. It came back. Now we have to, you're asking me for a bench warrant. I can issue a bench warrant, but we don't have the information that needs to go into a warrant so that it could be uploaded. So you can only catch them if we have the information. And if we don't have the information, I can put them on a dead docket. And if the state gets more information, they can request a bench warrant.
I understand that, Judge, and thank you. Respectfully, Your Honor, thank you.
I totally understand. So position number 18 is on the dead docket as well. Position 19 is null prost. Position 20, Bryce Joseph Rowe. Is that still Marshall Stories? Ms. Marshall Stories, that still your cases?
Yes, it is my case, Your Honor, and the state is requesting a bench warrant. This defendant actually took someone's keys from a laundromat, and then when the victim attempted to get the keys back, he struck her. I believe that you can see that there is a position 20, although and 21, and they are related in that he also ran from law enforcement.
We have date of birth. We have some information. Is that enough for a bench warrant?
Give me one moment. No. No, Judge, that's not enough information.
All right. It's kind of.
Just on the, but these typically on these citations, none of the information is on these COV cases.
All right, it goes on a dead docket. We just don't have enough information. All right, moving on. Position 2021, same defendant.
Yes, they're related, Your Honor. We'd also request that you place that on the dead docket as well.
22, Marvin McDaniel.
We're going to null prost that one, Your Honor. I will send the order over in just a moment.
All right, thank you. Demario Long. Demario Long. Mario Long is not present, and my goodness. Demario Long is simple battery. Any contact with the victim?
Your
From
Honor,
August 2020?
Your Honor, the victim, I believe at the time was 16 years old. And according to the police report, he did admit to hitting her on that date.
All right, we're going to put this on a dead docket. And if the state's able to reach him, you can send him a copy of the accusation. Do we have enough for a bench warrant in this one? I don't see it either. So dead docket, Vincent Lyman, middle name Mario. Vincent Lyman, Vincent Mario Lyman. What's the state want to do?
Your Honor, I think he was just incarcerated a few months ago, but on an unrelated offense. And in this case that occurred on August 2nd, there were 3 victims. One was actually hit in the head. So we would like to, because he was incarcerated just a few short months ago, if this one could be placed on a bench warrant.
Granted. All right, bench warrant for position 24. 25, Coley Davis.
That one is null pros, and I just sent that order over.
All right, thank you. Mr. Poulet is still waiting on the public defense to verify whether he qualifies. Position 27 and 28, Laverne Williams and Antonio Griffin are null prost. And position 29, Lalonde Williams.
That one is null prost as well, and I just sent over the order.
All right, thank you. Okay. So we are still back. Mr. Haddad or any of our PDs, any updates on Mr. Paulette or Mr. Mitchell?
No, Your Honor, we have not received any applications yet.
All right, Mr. Sproul and Ms. Riley, anything to report?
Yes, Your Honor. The state would ask if Mr. Sproul's case can be reset until April the 22nd, giving Mr. Sproul an opportunity to complete community service for us to dismiss the case. If I receive proof of his community service prior to the 22nd, I will tender that null pros to the court.
All right. What time on the 22nd? Repeat that.
Like on the 22nd of April, it's on the bench trials and a plea calendar.
Okay, we will put it on our bench trial calendar for the 22nd of April. Mr. Sproul, your case is going to be reset to April 22nd. Please make sure your address, your phone number, and your email are correct with us, and we'll send you notice for your next court date. If you completed the conditions requested by the prosecution, then they will dismiss the case and you would not need to appear. You're invited to appear, but you need not. All right, thank you. You're free to go. Mr. Sproul's case is reset to April 22nd for compliance. Okay, that leaves us with Mr. Paulette. Mr. Paulette? And Mr. Mitchell, the Public Defender's Office has not received your application. They've sent you a copy.
I'm filling it out right now on my phone currently. I just recently, I just lost connection with you while I was filling it out accidentally. So I just signed back in, but I'm filling it out as we speak.
All right, thank you.
All right.
Yes, Mr. Mitchell?
I just sent them an email to their email, but I don't understand how they didn't receive it. It say sent from my phone. I sent it. Say send my name and best number to get in contact with me.
This is Mr. Mitchell, position 14. What's your email address?
I sent it from my iPhone. It's my iCloud, I believe.
You don't know your email address?
I believe it came from it's jv.bos500@gmail.com.
I can't understand what you're saying, sir. You're slurring. Could you repeat your email address?
jv.boss500@gmail.com.
One of the Miss Davis, Miss Raven Davis, if you want to send him a email ping to J and V as in Victor .boss BOSS 500@gmail.com. Perhaps he can respond, or you can send him an application. All right.
I believe.
Yeah, I got the chat.
Okay, thank you.
That's okay, I got chat. Mr. Mitchell, they've sent you the application twice. You might want to check your spam folder.
I'm checking now. Are you sure? I haven't got any.
What is your phone number? Cell number?
762-209-9174. There's no email popping up.
I don't know. That's the number. That's the email you gave us. jv.boss. We responded to your email at 500@gmail.com. You might want to check your inbox. And Miss Davis, is it possible to send an attachment to that cell number? The email is coming from Raven Davis at fultoncountyga.gov.
I see it. I see it.
Okay, mute your screen and complete your application.
And Your Honor, I apologize. I was in the breakout room. I have positions 1 through 10.
Yep.
The announcements made for those.
No, we're waiting for you. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
All right. Christopher Lofton is, we have a return to sender. This is a 2020 September criminal trespass. We don't have an address on him at all. And we have no information on him.
Your Honor, I believe there's an address in the police report and on the citation. Give me just a moment, I can pull that up.
We'll place it on the dead docket, and if that information comes through, then please ask for the case to be put on the calendar. But the Cube Road address is not a good address.
Okay.
Position 2, Jeremy Waller. Also, looks like we've got no return to senders, but he's not shown up twice. However, what would the state like to do?
Ask that it be placed on the dead docket, Your Honor.
Okay. Stephen Every, position 3.
Same announcement, dead docket.
Position 4, Jonathan Kemp.
Same announcement, Your Honor.
Position 5, Zachariah Smith.
Same announcement.
Position 6, Frank Lipsy.
Same announcement, Your Honor.
Position 7, Todd Russell.
I will tender a no pros for that case, Your Honor.
Dominic Bush.
There was an address on the citation, so dead docket, please.
And position 9, Suleiman Barker.
Dead docket, Your Honor.
All right, the cases that are going on the dead docket, they remain there for up to 1 year. And if there's no movement by the prosecution or that state with respect to the cases are automatically dismissed. All right.
Thank you.
Position 10 is Mr. Sproul's reset to April 22nd. So we'll just be in recess until Mr. Haddad, your office receives the application from Mr. Follett and Mr. Mitchell.
Sounds good, Judge. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Javion, you have your hand raised again. Did you have a question?
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. Hey, I got a couple questions for this application. What's like the case number and
Just fill out the information that you do have.
all right, that's all right.
Put your name there and your contact information.
All right, I'm almost done.
Thank you.
No.
On there before we issue the warrant.
Would a PD please address Mr. Mitchell's question? Because I think he's having trouble with the application. Thank you.
Your Honor.
Yes, Mr. Velez?
I just received an email. I sent in my application, and I just received an email back saying to call the public defender's office and ask for their email address so they can receive it. So,
I'm sorry, I didn't understand that. What was that?
I said after I sent in the application, I just received an email address from the public. I just received an email address saying that call the public defender's office and ask for their email address so that they can receive it. So, hello?
Yeah, Mr. Paulette, number one, your video is not on, and Mr. Levette, can you shed some light on what Mr. Paulette is saying?
I think I can, Your Honor. Good morning. If you could, I'll tell you what, I will put my email address in the chat and he can just send it to me right there. Okay.
I just got an email address from Jessica. Well,
I'm going to send you an email address to send it to. Okay.
Okay. All right. Oh.
Your Honor, I have an announcement whenever the court wishes or can.
Yes,
Y'all
ready.
can't even hear me.
Your Honor, on position number 14, Mr. Mitchell, hopefully he's still here. Yes, he is. Your Honor, he does qualify for the services of the public defender's office. I'm going to go ahead and file an entry. At this point, I'm going to enter a plea of not guilty. There might be a motion to suppress I'm going to have to file. But that's the requesting a jury trial, Judge.
That's good. But in the meantime, is it Miss Marshall's story?
Yes, the recommendation is 12 months to serve, Judge.
Oh, is it? Okay, I didn't know that.
Yes,
So
Your Honor, I have corresponded. Mr. Haddad did actually reach out, and that is our recommendation.
And
All right.
you know, I mean, I'll just stop while I'm ahead, Judge. But
That's
that's I'm gonna file. I mean, I'm gonna enter a plea of not guilty, file an entry. I probably will file a motion to suppress. And if I do, Your Honor, I'm not sure if there's a motions calendar. I'm not.
There is. There
Okay.
is. We can reset it. What's the date for our motions calendar?
John Lovett was.
Your
How
Honor,
much time?
Hold on.
I'm
Mr.
sorry, Your
Paulette.
Honor. If the defendant is requesting a jury trial, are the motions going to be heard before this court and then the jury trial in the state court division?
That's correct.
Hold on, Mr. Paulette.
I'm looking at our calendars. You plan to file a motion, you're filing the waiver of arraignment and so forth, and today's the 18th. We can do April 1st.
That'd be fine, Judge.
Can we do it April 1st at the either the show cause calendar, or they're all at 11 o'clock. So we can put you in any of those calendars.
Whichever is most convenient for the court. Of course, with the state will need their witness. So I'd leave it up to the state as to what time would be best for them. And
Okay. Ms. Marshall Story, I have April 1st at 11 o'clock, or I have on April 22nd.
Your Honor, I do believe that is the week of spring break for my children. And respectfully, if you would take that into consideration, the 22nd would work better. And again, is this going to be on Zoom or is this going
All
to
on
be in
Zoom.
person?
So if you want to subpoena your witnesses and evidence, if you all have exhibits, just make sure that you're able to screen share, unless you want to email it to the Orca litigation manager before the hearing.
Your Honor, is it possible to have it in person? That may be easier in case there are any technical glitches.
I don't have a problem with that, but Mr. Haddad, do you have a problem with in person?
No, Your Honor, whatever the court
Okay.
wishes, obviously is fine with me. And Mr. Mitchell needs to
Excellent.
understand he has to be physically present for that motions hearing.
All right, Mr. Mitchell, are you listening?
Yes, I'm listening.
All right, this case is reset to April 22nd. It's a Friday. You will get a notice for the next hearing. This is going to be an in-person hearing in courtroom G33 at 160 Prior Street. You will get a notice. And at that time, the state will summon their witnesses, and we will address the defense's motions as well as any other motions filed by either party. In the meantime, you're going to be represented by the public defender's office. So do be sure to respond to the inquiries if they try to reach out to you so that you can assist them in your defense.
And Your Honor, and I apologize if I missed it, but did the court mention what time on the 22nd, Your Honor?
11:30 a.m.
All right, thank you, Judge. Obviously, I will be there in person. Mr. Mitchell,
All
I'll be in touch with you, sir.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mitchell. You're free to go.
Yes, ma'am.
There we go. All right, Mr. Haddad, we're still holding on Mr. Paulette whenever y'all are ready, okay?
I think Mr. Lovett may have.
Yeah,
more.
Good morning, Your Honor. I have an announcement on that. He has indeed qualified for our office. I would ask that a plea of not guilty be entered, waive formal arraignment, and that this matter be reset. I'm sorry, I was working. I didn't hear the dates that the court was using, but that the court reset this to the next status calendar, Your Honor.
Did you say bench trial calendar?
Status calendar, Your Honor.
And what would
With
it be? What's the status that you are trying to determine?
Well, Your Honor, I haven't had a chance to even talk with him yet. One of the things I need to do is get his number in the chat so we can hopefully talk and get with the district attorney. I have no opposition with whatever the court pleases to in terms of the style of the calendar that it get reset for.
Okay, and who is the prosecutor for this one? Ms. Githia?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Lovett, I'll be glad to place the three of you in a breakout room just to see if we can get some information about a possible plea. Okay?
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Ms. Smith, if you could place Attorney John Lovett, Attorney Sarita Githia, and Mr. Jared Pillette in the breakout room, please. And since this is our last case on this calendar, anyone else who's, unless you have any questions, you all are free to go.
All right, thank you, Judge. Have a good weekend.
All right.
Mr.
Thank you.
Haddad,
Yes.
Mr. Haddad, yes, Judge, before Mr. Haddad leaves, Your Honor, respectfully, can I just indulge the court's time just to ask a few questions regarding our calendars and while the public defender is present? We did receive an email from Ms. James, thank you, Ms. James, this morning, Your Honor, indicating the dates, the fourth Wednesday and Friday of each month, beginning, I believe, in April or the end of March, for your, for you. Oh, Your Honor, I believe we received dates for Your Honor for April.
Well, I have a trial calendar in April.
Right.
And then effective May 2022 onwards, it will be for Judge Morrow is every fourth Wednesday.
Mhm.
And for me, it will be every fourth Friday.
Correct, Judge, yes. And so I wanted to add just a few notes, things I was thinking off the top of my head. And I know we received the information. There was some confusion on Wednesday at Judge Morrow's calendar about virtual versus in-person. And it's the estate's understanding all parties, prosecuting attorneys, defense attorneys, defendants, witness, victims, court reporter, everyone will be in person for the bench trials. We understand that. I wanted to ask the court, is there going to be a cap? Has the court anticipated a particular maximum number of cases that you will place on these bench trial calendars beginning at 1:30 on these Wednesdays and Fridays?
Five cases.
Five? Okay, thank you, Your Honor, 5 cases. And additionally, I asked Judge Morrow on Wednesday if the parties had previously negotiated a plea offer, and we had already prepared all the plea paperwork and the parties anticipated the plea would go forth, would we be able to tender the plea virtually?
If it's just a plea, definitely you can, as long as it's signed and so forth.
Yes.
I'm virtually, you mean email it to the clerk and then
Yes,
the
Judge.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's fine.
yes. All right, thank you. If we know it's not, if we anticipate it will not be a bench trial, it's a negotiated plea, and we've already prepared the paperwork and sent it to the clerk, then we can tender that virtually.
Oh, yeah, no objection to that.
Thank you, Judge. Last question, Judge, and thank you for your indulgence again. On your diversion calendar, we received notice of the court's diversion calendar, and I'm assuming that those are those cases that we sent to diversion, and for whatever reason, the defendants did not appear, or they were rejected, or they didn't complete it. Is that going to be the type calendar, that diversion?
Yeah, the diversion calendar or status calendar, it could be on any of them, but if the defendant is not in compliance with the diversion program, then the state at any time, even before the diversion calendar, can send a request to the judge in charge. So if it's Judge Morrow, you can make sure that it's sent to a litigation manager to the attention of Judge Morrow, that this particular case, the defendant failed to so-and-so, and that you need to have the matter addressed at whatever the next calendar is. So you're giving us a heads up.
Yes.
It's just a question of, just letting us know. If you don't want to send us a heads up, then let us know at the diversion calendar. If the defendant is there, then, then clearly the state can articulate the reasons why you want to have that person removed from the program. Or if the defendant articulate or allocutes, a sufficiently good excuse, then maybe we can reset it for diversion to complete.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much, Your Honor. And thank you, Mr. Haddad, for remaining present for that conversation with the court. Thank you.
Oh, absolutely, Ms. McCutcheon. It's good to see you again after a few years.
Yes, I know. Good to see you too, sir.
All right, take care.
You got a little bit more of a beard and a little bit more gray, but we all have a little bit more gray.
As my father-in-law says, just flip me upside down.
Oh, no.
Good to see you, sir.
Good to see you.
All right, Mr. Lovett, Ms. Gathia, any updates? I don't know where Mr. Pullet went. He might be still in the breakout room.
Yes, Your Honor, we do have an update on that. We did have a good conversation. I did receive a offer, which would include no more jail time, 12 months of probation. However, my client at this point is maintaining his innocence. So again, I would ask we just reset this again. I apologize for not being familiar with exactly what calendar you're rolling things over to, but we would ask that this be reset to the next available calendar. And I think at that point, we may be able to dispose of it. Hopefully.
Okay. I'm looking at April. It's April 22nd. Yeah. So it'll be at 11 a.m. and we'll probably put it on a status conference calendar.
Will the defendant receive another notice, or is this his notice, Your Honor?
No, he should get another notice as long as his
Okay.
address, his phone number and email are correct.
And I've got that information from him too, so I think
All
we
right,
should be
you can
good.
send that to Miss Patrona James and she'll make sure it's updated.
Excellent.
Yeah, these calendars are all at 11:30 a.m.
Okay.
All right. Okay, Mr. Paulette, you're out, sir.
Your Honor, you said when was this going to be?
Next calendar is going to be April 22nd at 11:30 a.m. It's a Friday. And
Okay.
please keep in touch with the Public Defender's Office as they will be assisting you. So you would need to make sure you continue to communicate with them to assist so that they can assist you in your defense.
Okay. All right. All right. And
Okay.
I did. Okay.
Anything else?
I did email him, and I will be contacting him about this. But all right, thank you.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much. This concludes our calendar, and everyone have a great weekend. Except we are about to start on a rainy, stormy Friday. So please be
gosh.
careful out there. Okay,
You
take
as
care.
well.